What is going on, YouTube? Northeast Ohio Sports Cards here for our weekly comic book slash trading card chit chat, otherwise known as Marvel Mondays. Cheesy? Yes. Yes. Don't really care. Anyway, we're going to talk. I have two things I'd like to talk about today. One, X-Men Metal. And two, the Venom 2 trailer impact on a couple of different symbiote books, if you will. So, before we dive in, like, comment, subscribe, all the YouTube stuff down below. Channel turns 1 year old tomorrow. Big anniversary day. 1 year old. Happy birthday to me. It has been quite a wild ride, as I've said on some of the other videos that, maybe you guys and girls only come here for the comic book videos. For everyone that has ever liked, watched, subbed, commented, disliked, trolled, shared, etc., I thank you. A sincere thank you for supporting the channel in whatever way you have chosen to support or not support the channel. In some cases, that is perfectly fine as well. But seriously, thank all of you for watching, liking, all that jazz, all the YouTube shenanigans that we talk about, and just the general words of encouragement sometimes and all that. So, not to get too sappy, so let's go ahead and dive in. But before we do, if you do want to support the channel, don't forget the eBay affiliate link in the description. If you're planning to make any purchases, consider using the eBay link. Very simple way to support the channel. I have people ask all the time, what's the best way to support the channel? Share the video, smash the like button, the eBay affiliate link. And if you want to check out Market Movers, probably not so much for the comic book audience, but you can. There's a little hack you can use to chart comic books on there. We're going to use that today. Not the simplest thing in the world. It takes a few minutes for each comic, but it does work. You can make it work. But yeah. So with all that being said, let's hop into today's topic. First up, X-Men Metal. These have been much ballyhooed for a while now. Initial pre-orders came out last fall. I missed it completely because it wasn't on my radar. They were like $100 a box. Boy, do I wish I pre-ordered some back then. This was supposed to come out in the fall. It didn't. It was supposed to come out in January. It didn't. February, it didn't. March, April, May, you get the drift. Supposedly now they are coming out in June and they are popping back up again, which is why we're talking about them today, because I know a lot of people are hyped for this product and I think it's going to do extremely well. They have been popping up on Dave and Adams. They popped up about 3 different times last week, each time selling out in some various shape or form relatively quickly. The first time they popped up was Wednesday or Thursday of last week. They sold out in about 45 minutes. I'm going to use sold out in air quotes. Then they popped back up again another day. I think it was Friday for a couple hours, and then they were gone. And then they popped back up again for about a half a day, and then they sold out again. They initially popped up for $189 a box. That sold out the first 2 days, and then the third day they came up for $199 a box, and those sold out as well. And once again, I'm using sold out in air quotes, because this is how the card game works, the sports card game specifically. They put some up for sale, it sells out, and then they jack the price by 10 or 15 bucks, rinse and repeat until it doesn't sell out. And then they realize that they reached the ceiling for what the market would bear, and then they'll just let them sit. And then eventually they'll be on sale, and it seems like you're getting a deal on it when really you're not. But anyway, this product looks really good. I'm extremely excited for it, both for... one, I'm a massive X-Men fan, and two, this has precious metal gems in it, and PMGs are what the market goes crazy for. Plus, they're just really cool looking cards. So I'm not going to go through all the product description here, but very cool looking set. So if you're on the prowl for these, you might want to keep an eye on Dave and Adams. I have not seen them pop up on Blowout recently, the other big card supplier. And also, check your local LCSs or whatever these may be popping up. Long story short, I have 6 boxes coming. I pre-ordered 3 the one day before they sold out, and then the next day they popped up, and I pre-ordered a second 3. So there will be 6 total boxes coming to me. at the time being grand total like $12 or $1,300 or whatever it was. I don't know exactly what the plan is. I will definitely do like a pre-recorded rip of one. I will probably do a live stream and rip one, and then I don't know where I'll go from there. I would like to at least hold on to a couple of them, but we'll see. We'll see how the hits go, see how the product looks. I would like to try to put a base set together. We will see, but I am very excited for Marvel Metal, the X-Men version. So let's move into some comic book talk. Try to keep this video a little shorter than normal. Say that, and it never happens. So we obviously had the Venom 2 trailer drop it was actually this past Monday, so it's been exactly a full week. It actually came out right after my Marvel video dropped, or my comic book video dropped last week. So what I was curious about is how big of an impact did it have, if any? Because a lot of the, we talk about this in the sports card world all the time. A lot of this stuff's baked in already. Everyone knew this trailer was coming. This isn't like a huge surprise. It's just a matter of when it actually drops. The other thing that I was more curious about, and this goes specifically with, we're going to talk about ASM 300, 316, 361, and Maximum Carnage #1. 361 specifically, which is the first appearance of Carnage. Whoops, this book right here. Really flooded the market hard. More got posted on Monday on eBay than I have seen in a long time. So what I was curious is could the market bear the sudden increase in supply? Because like I said, a lot were posted. I did a search after lunch. I have a saved search, and when I scrolled through new listings, there was it felt like 15 or 20 of these things up there. So, and some people were listing pretty high, and some people were running auctions. So what I was curious about was to watch the auctions to see how they did compared to where the current comps were and all that, and would the price move or not? Or what could have happened was I would not have been surprised if the price actually slipped because there was that many put up. Now, this is considered a high pop book or a high census count book. It's like over 4,000, 4,400. And yes, Carnage and Spider-Man are extremely popular. I know that this is creeping Deadpool New Mutants 98's a little bit less than this, but to me, Deadpool's a much more iconic character than Carnage is. This is actually both covers are really good. As I say, this is a pretty iconic cover. And I remember this book vividly coming out when I was a kid, collecting this stuff. I was 11 years old when this released. And I remember my one friend, I was big on X-Men, and one of my friends was really big into Spider-Man. He collected a lot of the Spider-Man stuff, and I remember him having this book. I never cared much for Spider-Man, so I never bought any of this stuff. Rip me for not buying any symbiote stuff. Anyway, let's get into some charts and graphs. We're going to start with ASM 300, and we're actually going to look at the 9.6. So, whoops, my charts and graphs are out of order. So we're actually going to look at the 9.6. Because only a couple 9.8s have sold. They've all been between $8,000 and $9,000. One has not got to 9K yet, but they've been going between 8,000 and high 8s, low 8s and high 8s, basically. I watched a few different auctions. I made some little polls about them in the community post. So that book has remained relatively steady at that mid 8K mark. It's just been sitting there. Now, there's only about 1,000 of those on the census, so those don't pop up like every single day. The 9.6s, though, there's about there's like 3,500 to 4,000 9.6s. Those did see a little bit of price increase. So if we come down here, that trailer basically dropped on that would have been like the 9th or the 10th, I think. So here on the 9th, one did sell for 2,700. And then it did come back down a little bit because the market got flooded with them. I saw a lot of 9.6s posted up as well. One tonight, I am recording this late Sunday night, not super late, but I was specifically waited because there was a bunch of auctions closing for a lot of these key Spider-Man books, and I was curious to see where the prices were going to end at. So a 9.6 actually sold tonight for like 2,700 or 2,800, which seems a little high. I think buy it now is cheaper. But sometimes people get caught in auction fever a little bit and keep bidding. But one did sell for tonight for high twos. So in general, not a massive bump. It has been up to around the mid twos before. It dipped down a little bit. One sold for low, but it's been between 2,000 and 2,500 pretty consistently. One or two spiked up and then it pulled right back down again. And then it looks like another one may have spiked up again. But this seems to be between a $2,000 and $2,500 book fairly regularly. And that really hasn't changed much. If you go back to the beginning of March, they were also going for 2,200. Now, some people are going to say, well, that's not great. The trailer dropped and prices didn't go up that much. There is only, even with all the new money coming in, there's only so much demand for this stuff. And like I said, the inventory kind of got flooded this week as everyone was waiting for this moment to sell. And we talk about this in sports cards a lot. Sometimes you're actually better off to sell before the thing happens that you think is going to happen. Because if you go into any comic book group, any Facebook group, any Discord, not any, but most, and say, hey, I have this key Venom issue of whatever it is, 300, 316, 361, 252, pick your poison. I'd like to sell it soon. When should I sell it? The baseline answer that a lot of people will throw out there, wait for the trailer to drop and then sell it. Okay. Well, an echo chamber forms and everyone keeps saying the same thing over and over again. Oh, well, you got to wait for the trailer. You got to wait for the trailer. Prices will spike. So everyone holds this stuff back, or not everyone, but a good portion of people hold this stuff back. Then the trailer drops and everybody dumps their inventory onto the market and there's not enough buyers to meet sellers. And then all of a sudden the price skews the other way and the stuff actually goes down. We see this in, like I said, in sports cards all the time because someone wins a championship and their prices in a lot of cases actually go down the next day and people can't figure it out. And it's because when you look at inventory moved, a ton of that player's stuff gets posted on eBay that day. And there's only so much demand in the marketplace. So auctions then usually crash. So that's why I was curious what auction values were going to be ending at for some of these books. So needless to say, 300 and a 9.6 basically stays kind of flat with maybe a little spike. Maybe it's going up a slight little level up, but it's not like it's going insane. It didn't go to $3,000, at least not yet. I still think this is kind of a little undervalued, and I actually think 300 and a 9.8 is actually a little undervalued at 8K. I think that's probably going to end up being a 10K book at some point in time shortly. It might take a few months, but I think it's going to keep trending in that direction. We'll see. I could be wrong. Maybe it pulls back to a 6K book. I just don't see that happening unless the movie is like an absolute bust, and then it's still not like that thing's going to the floor. One of the big differences between the two markets, and I commented on this on a video somewhere the other day, the sports card market right now is going through quite the pullback. And I don't think the comic book market, if it has a pullback, will work the same way the sports card market is right now. And that's due to, once again, the key thing that attracts me and a lot of others to the comic book market is the census counts. Because there's just not as many of them. Once again, I know you guys think 4,000 is a large number. We don't necessarily do, but on an ASM 300, there's only 1,000 of them. So there's only so many people that are going to look to dump that thing. So it's just harder for the fall to happen fast. Yeah, it could slowly pull back, but I don't think it's going to be off the edge of the cliff if it falls back down. And once again, I actually think it's going to keep slowly climbing up as hype continues to build. Let's move into the next one and let's look at 361. This is the key one. First appearance of Carnage. And the number of these that got posted this week was insane. And once again, it actually stayed basically flat. You go back to 5.8/5.9 when the trailer dropped, and it peaked up a little bit. But this has basically been about a $1,200 to $1,400 book. Fairly consistency. And once again, I'm always talking non-newsstand. I'm not a big believer in the whole newsstand hype. I get why people make a big deal about it. I just personally don't like the way that they look. And if I was going to buy one, 9 times out of 10, I would go for the direct. I understand in an investment side, that's probably not smart, but I would rather just take the price discount on the direct and not worry about it. I wish the numbers were tracked on the newsstand. I understand people have their formulas for it. But if it was that important to me, or if it was that important, I feel like CGC would track it. And I wish they did, but that ship's probably sailed at this point. to get that census count accurate. But long story short, 361 basically stayed flat, which I'm actually take that as a win given the numbers that got pumped out into the market this week to sell into that hype. Once again, if you held to sell at the trailer, you really didn't make any extra money. You could have basically sold it anywhere in this run up. And this is going back to March 6th, and the book's actually only gone up 1.5% in that time. What did 300 go up at a 9.6? 20% increase for ASM 300 and a 9.6. But 361, just a 2% jump. Nothing that crazy. Once again, this could be because it's a higher pop count or higher census count book. I'll get that right, don't worry. With it being in 4,000, so it takes a little bit more to move that market. But I am pleasantly surprised that the market stayed flat with the increased inventory. So the increased number of buyers for the trailer hype met the increased demand or the increased supply from sellers dumping from trailer hype or waiting to sell. So we'll see how it sustains now that the trailer's dropped. If it stays flat or if hype begins to build and it slowly creeps up for the movie, we shall see. And then we'll see what happens post-release of the movie. I was indifferent on the trailer. I thought it was fine. Didn't blow my socks off. I actually still haven't seen the first Venom yet, so I should probably knock that off the old checklist. Two more to talk about really quick. ASM 316, first full cover appearance of Venom. McFarlane cover, absolute classic. Fairly low census. I think there's about 1,200 of these. This one actually stayed relatively flat, but not many of these have sold. The last couple sales, one sold on the 6th, which was before the trailer at 1,600. One sold after at 1,500, and one actually sold right prior to this recording for, actually it ends in 45 minutes. It's at 1,425. So I don't know that I see it spiking super hard. Earlier today, one was up for 1,500 on auction, and it didn't get any bids. So my guess is that it's going to sit right under that $1,500 number, which is pretty much right in line with where it's been selling the last couple months. It's gone anywhere from 1,400 all the way up to 1,800, kind of just depending on the day of the week. This one doesn't come up super often in a 9.8, but it has seen an incredible rise since February, up 114%. So this one, not a huge price increase or decrease either way, but also much more limited inventory on 316 due to the lower census count. And then the one that actually got the biggest bump is a little bit surprising to me, and that is Spider-Man Unlimited #1, the first part of Maximum Carnage, which is an iconic storyline. Iconic might be too strong of a word, but a very popular Carnage storyline. I remember this being a massive deal when I was a kid and reading all these. I remember loving the video game based off of it. It was this huge multi-part thing with a bunch of different villains teaming up to beat up Spider-Man and him getting a bunch of different people to team up with him. It was a huge deal. I think I'm going to read it tonight on Unlimited. But yeah, absolutely fantastic story run. But this one is the first appearance of Shriek, who is basically Carnage's girlfriend, and is supposed to make her debut in the Venom 2 movie. So the trailer dropped actually helped bump this one quite a bit. The news has been out there for a while about that, but the trailer took it to another level. I did not graph this one, but you could see as of even just a couple of weeks ago to a week ago, prior to the trailer dropping, this was consistently going for between 200 and 250 in direct. And now they are going for anywhere between 370 and 400. You can actually get them cheaper than that now. So the spike happened and a few people sold, and then once again, the market got flooded. A bunch of people posted it. There were some buy it nows on eBay right now for 325. I'm not sure that I would chase this one from an investment standpoint. Just doesn't seem like a super smart play. It's a minor key villain. The only thing that might jump it again is if they ever kind of played out the storyline on screen, which maybe they do a version of it. I don't see that they would ever be able to do the full comic book version of it because there's just a billion characters in that run. But it is a cool cover. I actually wouldn't mind picking one up just for display purposes and nostalgia factor. But I don't know that I would run out to buy this one to quote unquote invest in. But I found it interesting that of all the books, like the key things that would tie into this is the one that got really the biggest jump, going from basically a $200 book to a $300 to $375 book overnight. So I found that one interesting. Great storyline. Like I said, I'm definitely reading that tonight as soon as I get done recording. So that's all I have for you guys and girls today. Of these, are you diving into any of them? Are you, trying to buy high, if you will? And maybe it's not buying high. Like I said, I think some of the stuff keeps going up. I would really like an ASM 300 and a 9.6. I had the opportunity to buy one and pass at the last minute, and I am probably going to regret it because I got scared off from Newton rings. Yes, I know. I talked about this on the live stream. ASM 300 and a 9.6 for $1,900 shipped. This was right prior to the trailer dropping. It had 3 or 4 significant Newton rings dead center on the book. And yes, I understand they do not affect the book at all, but they were right on his arm right here, his left arm that goes back, and they were extremely noticeable. And I just could not unsee them. And I knew that it was a good deal, but if I put it up every time I looked at the book, that would be the first thing that I saw. When you're spending up to $2,000 on something like that, even though it was a good deal, I probably should have just bought it, and I probably could have just flipped it. And yeah, I know I could have reholdered it. I didn't feel like dealing with all that. Once again, if I'm spending $2,000 or close to it, I really don't want to go through the trouble of insuring it, sending it off to CGC, waiting 3 months for it to come back, having it out of hand, etc. So, I have a feeling I might be kicking myself on that one for a while, but I just did not want to deal with the Newton ring on it. And like I said, I'm well aware they do not affect the book at all, but it was in my head and I could not get it out of my head. And I just knew that I would not be able to unsee it. So sometimes you got to take a pass. Maybe it was stupid. Maybe it was smart. I just know that I will sleep better. Maybe I won't. I don't know. I've been kicking myself ever since, but I think once I got it in hand and if I had it on display, I would never be able to unsee that. It's a fairly common book. I know I'll be able to find another one, maybe not at that price, but even if I have to pay a slightly increased price, so be it, to not have to deal with all the nonsense that would have been associated with that one. So that's all I got for you guys and girls. We will catch you tomorrow for the 1 year of the channel. I am doing a little behind the scenes tour again, kind of talking about how I grew the channel and all that stuff. So like, comment, subscribe, eBay affiliate link. Catch you on the next one. Peace.